Hello and welcome to Film and Game Composers. I am your host Meena Shamaly, and in this video we are looking at DRONAR Hybrid Module by Gothic Instruments. So, what is this instrument? According to the website, I just want to give you shortcut the tagline. Here is the big claim. DRONAR will change the way you create atmospheric sounds. So this is the claim. This is a module for creating drones and atmospheres, and apparently it's supposed to make it really easy to create rich, dramatic, complex, and evolving atmospheres. And there is a lot of emphasis on the live expression control. So that's what I'm going to be looking at. Does it actually change the way you create atmospheric sounds? And a couple of quick technical things. You got 8.2 gigabytes installed. It requires the full version of Kontakt. And yeah, it's been created by a gentleman named Dan Graham. So, shout out to Dan for this instrument that we're looking at today. All right, so let me just play you the patch I've got loaded up here. I've loaded up in Kontakt. You can either load it up from the Files menu or the Quick Load menu over here, because it won't be available for the Libraries tab because you need the full version of Kontakt. So it won't work on the Kontakt player either. All right, so I've got one of the menus loaded up. You've got menus and you've got a whole bunch of the separate patches. But menus basically covers each category together. So I've got a pads menu here. I've got one of the sounds selected. So I'll just play you a note. Let's just play a couple of different notes, just one note. All right, sounds great. Let's play a chord. So, there's a whole bunch of things happening here, but let me get right down to why I think this instrument is different to any other thing. If you would have noticed, we've got 4 different layers of sound here. I've got an intensity control, and movement control, and reverb and delay, and all that good stuff. But you have basically 4 layers of sound. Low, which you can activate or deactivate here. Low, mid, high, and effects. And all these work together to create your sound. Now, I'll turn off everything and I'll play the low. Wherever I play it, I'll just play a C. Now let me play that up the keyboard, up the octave. Up the octave again. Wherever I play it, it will play me that drone, the same drone, wherever I play it. If I get the high, do the same thing. It'll play the same note. Now if I play the mid, and over here, I'll just turn something off. The thick. I'll turn off the thick, which I'll explain in a minute. But this is your playable thing. Your effects, I think, are the same as well. So it'll still play in the same way. So the effects the high and the low play the same thing. So basically, if I just play the C, I'm still playing the same thing. Now, I combine that with the mid, and that's where you start playing more than one note. The key here is that the low and the high and the effects are playing the same thing. Wherever you play in the keyboard, it's the mid that changes. And the thick actually just makes it play an octave, I think an octave higher and an octave lower. So if I just turn off the low and the high, so I just turn on the mid, it basically kind of makes it play across the whole keyboard. But I turn off the thick in the expert mode. And that's where you play all your different things. This is why I think this instrument works and is different. Is because, and I'll go through some of the sounds for you to hear them, but it is not about the sounds. It's not the sounds that excite me the most. It is the fact that it's been engineered this way so that I can control which part of the sound moves and which part stays in the drone without having to create more than one patch. It's all within the one patch. And see, what happens is I play the chord over here. And the drone will remain the same. Oh, sorry, I haven't actually. That was all the low, mid, high. So let me play that again. So. What happens is that the drone is not being stacked. What's being stacked is just your mid, whatever you're playing all your chords with. That's if you're using a tonal patch, a chordal patch here. And this, for me, spells out exactly why this is useful. And this is one of the pads, one of the pads menu. And I can go into all of this other stuff. But this is the crux of why I enjoy this. Now, the other thing you might have noticed, and this again, if you see it in the expert menu, is if I play a chord, no matter which inversion, it'll just play me the root note. So if I play C minor here, and then I play an A flat major, it'll play the drone on the A flat major no matter what the inversion I have is. And if I play it on B flat, I play G, you hear that bass, that low, that drone just going on G, and it's indicated by the red key over here, no matter where I play. See what I mean? So, that is actually this little thing called smart bass. So see what happens. It detects which bass notes I'm doing it for which chord. Now, if you don't want that, there's a couple of ways around it. If you want to keep the smart bass on, you can play the low, like you can play it maybe over a sixth apart, between the bass and the chords above it. And then you can just keep the bass as it is. Or you can just turn off the smart bass and play the drone that you want and the chords you want above it. Let me see what happens if I go. See, the low's not doing anything on here. What's the high doing? The high's only working on what it's doing, so it's only the mid that's really doing the So there you go. Now, put that back with... So no matter what you're doing, it's only really just affecting the bass note. So these chords don't matter because these chords belong to the mid. And here you can, of course, turn these shiny dials. I really like the design here. It's really nice and ethereal. And you can turn things up and down. So to balance things yourself. So have more drone or more high or more effects. And there you have it. And that's just only taking the one pad. If I change things around, so what this actually is, the patch I have loaded. So this is a menu patch. So it has basically, this is just a pads one. So I've got pads, and how many pads do I have there on the keyboard? 1, 2, so it's maybe like, it's about 12, yep. It's the whole octave. And if I go into the pads menu, I'd say that's more than 12 because it's got all of the pads, not just pads 1 and 2, because it's got a split here. So I can swap this out. Where am I? There we go. So here I'm swapping the different pads. And each of them has its own setting. Smart bass remains as I want it. So see all these different sounds and all their settings and all their levels are changing. And they stay the same. So like this one that we've just changed still remains as we want it. So if I change back from it, it'll just have what we want on it. So that's fantastic. So you can have this whole pads menu loaded, and you can just switch between them if you want to. And it will maintain your settings as you're recording. Of course, you can save it as you want and go from there. So in these pads menu, for example, and here we've got smart bass engaged because why not? Which means I can just basically play a G minor chord with one hand and then just modulate. So the intensity responds to the mod wheel. So that's pretty cool. Again, the whole reason, if I turn off the low and the high and the effects, I'll turn off the smart bass because, like, I'd like to do weird things. Not really weird, but like I like to play my own way. So that's your mid. Play the low and the high. I'm not going to play all your other notes. Neither will effects. Although actually effects is turned all the way down anyway, so it's not active for this patch. But yeah. See, this is what I'm saying is that now with the mid, no matter what I'm playing above and below, what I'm playing above or below, the drone doesn't change and doesn't stack up, which has often been the problem I've had with pad-like instruments, whether it's in Kontakt, whether it's in like sound design libraries, whether it's in Omnisphere, all that kind of stuff. It's fantastic. I just get a bit bothered by when it stacks and I can't really play the way I want, which means I have to create two different patches and work on them that way. This way, I'm just playing with one hand. And I'm creating a nice drone. I can even turn the high off so I can just make it the low and the mid. And this low drone isn't really, very heavy or anything. But as you can see, you can actually change the sounds in expert mode. So this in main mode is most of what you need. In expert mode, you can change any of the sound, any of the mid and high sounds and the low sounds and everything. So, say for example, here you can also turn them off and on. So in the low, for example, you can go between two sounds. Say for example, Edge of Chaos or Dark Fog. Let's put up the volume over here. And there's actually quite a bit of filter here. So these are all built into the patch. Now you can hear the differences. And you can also go whether the envelope affects the filter or whether the mod wheel affects the filter. Or both, really. So here, here's the resonance as well. So this is already going into the next point that really interests me about a library like this. Is yes, the sound design is fantastic, and the patches are really well played, and you can just play and go with it. And if you're on a tight schedule, you got to deliver this thing, today, and you just got to come up with something now. Load up a patch and go, and you will be set in many ways. However, you can customize everything about it. Here you can customize attack and decay, and it's all right there on the menu. You can do all of this stuff behind the scenes, but with all the scripts that are going on, it might be a little hard. But here I've got my full control of my filter, and tone and stereo width and volume and everything can be automated. You can right clicking and automate it with anything, and immediately I've got a lot of control, a lot of customization I can do. And this is what I look for. I like not to be locked in to any of the, to what they have. I like not being locked in. I like being... There's some things maybe you can lock in if it's, for example, a phrase library, or even in this, it's got some effects that, you can't change because you can't just create them. And that's fine. But how can I interact with that? That's the great thing about this. And that's what I'm really enjoying about this library. Is that I've only played one menu patch here, just the pads, and there's already so much I can do. The thickness here, basically, let me tell you what. Let me load up pads 2, just so I can reset, basically. And let's play this. Let's find one that has all the layers active. This one, for example. All right. So already here, if I want to maybe talk about the thick a little bit. So I'll just play the low. I'll thicken it up. Now you hear the octaves coming in. Do the same with the high. Thicken it up. Do you hear all the octaves coming in? And it doesn't matter where you're at. With the mid, it's the same thing, except the mid is the one that is most playable. So this is why when you thicken it up, it starts to behave like the low and the high. But if you remove the thick, then you can just do whatever you want with it. And here, as you can see, mod wheel reacts to filter. But the thick obviously will make it just... the thick will make it just act like the low and the high. But in a chordal fashion. Let me turn off the high. So now no matter where you play it, it'll behave like the other ones, which is cool, but except I enjoy a lot more the idea that you can, manipulate the low and the high just to do their thing and kind of hover around, and the mid is the moving part. I really enjoy that. I really enjoy the ability to do that. And as you can see, it's actually basically a mix between these two sounds, if you put it in the middle. Now, I'm not sure if there is actually something that actually moves this. It might be. If I turn on the LFO, for example, here in the LFO and effects, that's really just a normal LFO. It's not really. It's going to affect the sound as it is. Now this LFO also responds to the movement. This is what the movement's doing. It's basically how much is the LFO going to attack this. So here we're... what are you doing? I hate these things that just don't respond as they should. I'm not sure if it's supposed to be vertical or horizontal or down the dial. Anyway, doesn't matter. Back with the filter. Okay, that's a bit of a flaw. I didn't realize it doesn't do that well. I'm not sure why it's not responding this way, but that's what it is. So I've rambled on a little bit here, but the reason I wanted to go on this kind of exploration journey is the fact that you can do that in DRONAR. That it takes you somewhere. I'm just using this one patch, this pads menu. I'll just change to a different patch. If I turn the movement up, this is the LFO. And that's pretty cool. So some of them you hold them a little bit longer and they'll go for a while. And here now the Arpeggiator isn't actually engaged for any of them, but that's engaged in some of the other ones, which is pretty cool. I can get to that. But overall, if you have LFO and effects, you can just engage distortion and reverb and delay, and that's all great but these are all Kontakt effects, so I'm not really bothered by them. You can load and store your own drones, randomize the samples here, for example. So let me go back to pads menu 1. I know I've stuck on the pads menu for a while, but this might work better in the single patches, but that's okay. I think I've really made my point clear as to what I'm really enjoying about this library. A couple of things that I didn't enjoy in the LFO and effects thing, which I don't know what's going on there. Oh, well, you can do that. Okay, that must have been just something stuck with the patch on Kontakt. But yeah, okay, so that's not a problem. The arpeggiator is pretty cool, and there's actually here an Arp-o-rama. 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 I don't even know how to do that. Where they have engaged the arpeggiator quite a bit. And I'll suspect that the movement has quite a bit to do with this. So if I say... And if you play a chord, it actually arpeggiates. Goes to total ARP mode. And again, it's the high... Sorry, not the high, the mid that's arpeggiating. Now the cool thing here is the arpeggiator actually interacts with the thick mode. So if I've got the thick mode on, it's playing all of these notes, and that's what the arpeggiator is actually going through. If I turn the thick mode off, I'll just play these 3 notes, and that's what the arpeggiator is dealing with. If I basically, I'll turn off the... I turn on the low and high. Oh, you got to turn on the arpeggiation for each of them. So this is arpeggiator is only working on the high, sorry, on the mids, because that's where it's engaged. That's what I meant. So it'll work that way, and you got up, down, cycle, random. Go random. And of course, you can affect the intensity over the 16 steps. And you can affect the filter. So again, I'm not stuck with it. If I play 1 note, it's playing me 3 notes. If I play 2 notes, it's playing me 6 notes. And 9 notes. Then he just keeps multiplying depending on what you're playing. So that is pretty wonderful. And that's just the Arp-o-rama. You can hear a little ARP coming through. So that's pretty cool. I really enjoy it. And they've got the smart bass on here as well. So, yeah. There's a whole bunch of master effects here, which is pretty cool. But again, these are all from Kontakt, so I'm not really bothered by them. The reverbs, however, they're usually convolutions, if I'm not mistaken. If I check back here, instrument effects, send effects, convolution, that is it. That is it, I believe. So like, if I... I'm just wondering if that's where the convolution is. Yep, that's where the convolution is. So wooden room, as it is wooden room here. If I go digital dark, go back here. Hey. Doesn't quite engage the same way. Not sure. Not sure why that's the case. Again, it could just be another problem with Kontakt. So here, if I've got the reverb, if I check the effects, send effects, convolution, fake and bright, that's different. So I'm not actually sure if what it's engaging is, yep, it's engaging the the normal reverb, not the convolution reverb. My bad. Ooh. I understand. It depends on the preset, sorry. That's something I didn't realize. So if I go with this one, whichever reverb it engages, yes, this is a convolution. So if I go concert hall, it is also convolution. I went to digital dark, it just played the normal reverb, which is part of Kontakt. So that's a pretty cool way of, you know, having both reverbs available, depending on the preset. So yeah, so there you go. I've quite enjoyed playing with DRONAR, and this DRONAR is definitely going in my template, however you want to say it. And yeah, maybe what I'll do to kind of end this is play through some of the sounds and then just see how you can mess around with them. I'll just play with the menus because these are just the menus patches broken out. So say for example here, if I go the alien menu, so I'll just play the first thing that comes. So there's quite a lot of effects, and so if I play the mid, for example, but if I play just the low and high, that's some really good. It's some really excellent. Like, I know I said I wasn't as excited by the sound design itself as I am by the concept, but I'm saying the sound design is so excellent these days by so many people that that's not the thing that always impresses me anymore. The thing that impresses me is implementation. And it's pretty exciting. I wonder if there's a way to easily drop in your own samples to do this. Could be in an update, or you could just go in yourself and start replacing things and creating your own groups, as long as you know what you're doing and you don't save over the patches that are already there. So yeah. This is pretty cool, right? I'm in the mid. If I turn the movement up. Now obviously the movement it's already been mapped to CC14, CC79, which I don't really know if that's anything on my keyboard, but I will map that to expression. So now I've got my expression pedal controlling movement and intensity controlled by the mod wheel. Now, I don't know what is it doing here. Is it turning on some arpeggiator? Yeah. The movement has engaged the amount over here. And it's also engaged, I believe, some of the LFO? If I turn it on, see. The LFO, yep. It's engaging the LFO and the arpeggiator. So the movement, I think it's programmed per preset to do something different. And if I'll go, I won't thicken up the mids, and I'll turn off the smart bass. Quite a lot to be done there. So that's one of them, and just play another one. So if you can see here, I'll turn the movement down, so it just becomes a straight pad. Just pick another one. And I think they each have their movement pre-programmed. So I can always change it, of course. But they're... So these are the sounds. So the sounds are fantastic. This is the alien menu. I'll just swap it in. So here's Arp-o-rama, which we were playing before. I'll keep the movement up. Oh, I have to map it every time, so And as we can discuss, you can always change how it reacts to the movement. Change another one. So these presets are really nicely done. And you can get focused and just say, for example, in the Arp-o-rama, I'll just take one of them. So this is one of the single patches in Arp-o-rama. So now these actually don't change anything. These keys over here, it'll just be the same patch. But if I go in the expert mode, I can randomize the samples. Randomize again. And you can have some fun and just enjoy. And so this is why I said it probably works better in the single patches to randomize the patches and then store the drone as you wish. Yeah. So you basically get a lot of the parameters of the patch with different samples. So if I put the movement up, for example, then expert, take off the thick, and of course you got some distortion happening. I think a little bit of distortion, maybe, not necessarily that much with some of them. It depends on the sample, really. So yeah. So back to the menus. Go through some atmospherics just quickly, just to show you, give you an idea of the sound. There's a whole sound walkthrough from the DRONAR guys specifically. So, and this is a lot of effects. You'll see here the effects is where it's engaged. So there's no high, no mid, no low, and that's pretty cool. So you can just work on the effects. And see, it doesn't matter, so you can just press one button, one key, and you're gonna be fine. Now, I don't know if they've got something happening with the movements, again, with how it's affecting the effects. Might be, might not be, but I'm not really bothered about it. It's something you can explore, and that's the thing. There's a lot to explore in this library. So it could be affecting some of the sample start time. I'm not sure, but yeah, you get the idea. Chaos, which I think is going to be interesting. So these. This is nice and creepy. I'm guessing the LFO is doing something with the pitches. Yep, definitely. So again, these are all presets. And so some of them start to sound the same because maybe they're using some of the same sound sources. But you can always change it and explore. So say, for example, I turn off the mid and the effects. So I'll just explore the high. Just go bring siren. Whatever hypnotic is. Ghost flame. Make that abandoned. Or feedback pad. Might get this kind of mix of things, make it thick. So Pretty cool stuff in there. So this is, you know, it started off as something there, and you can mess with the sounds and you're done. That is definitely chaos. What else we got? We got danger. This is nice. And let me turn up the mid. Yeah, it's pretty good stuff there. If I turn off the low and the mid, and the high, sorry. The high is pretty, I think it's doing some cool stuff in there. So I'd go into the mid and check out what these sounds are, and this is where you actually get quite a nice collection of sounds within them. So you can just hollow it out and just play the mids, and then you're fine. And turn off the smart bass. And here, because I like to play with both hands, I'll map the intensity to the expression pedal. That's really nice, and sorry, that was my expression pedal. That's really nice, and such a great way to play with these things. And I'm looking forward to what these guys do next. And I sort of sometimes hope that some of these things that happen in Kontakt, they can be provided as an engine for any which sound you want. So, for example, I want to be able to easily drag something that was created by Daniel James or Hybrid 2 for Project Alpha, Project Bravo, or, you know, Strasov sampling with Oracle. Just want to drag one of those things into this and play with it this way. This is what I enjoy about this, a lot of this Kontakt scripting. What am I doing? Sorry. Going forward. Dark menu, for example, here. So if I turn, I like to hear what the mid actually is. It's just really kind of low key, I think. So if I turn the low back on, turn off the smart bass. The low's pretty prominent here. So stuff like that, you know? Sometimes even one key is enough for some of these things. This is a drone, so it's pretty cool. That's the thing. I'd love to take Omnisphere through this process without, like in this way. It's such an ingenious way. That's what I'm really admiring. It's such an ingenious way of keeping the drones and the synths doing their own thing, in like separating these components of sound, but keeping them doing their own thing. I wish Omnisphere had something like this. Be great. Maybe Dan and the Omnisphere and the Spectrasonics guys should collaborate on that. A lot of darkness there. And the stuff is great. And the thing is, there's a lot of filtering going on here, which is why some of them tend to kind of sound a bit the same. But take off the filter and experiment, man. And then you got a couple of sound packs here. So Deep Space by Kniceley? Is that how it's... Kniceley? I'm not sure how it's supposed to be pronounced. Sorry. So there's a whole bunch of sounds by this designer. Ooh. So there's a lot of good presets here. Fear menu. Let's play a few. Ooh, this is nice. Let me take off the smart bass and let me see what this is. Oh, the sound is evolving. It's so awesome. Like, these are the kind of sounds you play some just basic chords and you can really do get something happening here. So that's what I mean. Instantly, there's a lot of great presets, but a lot of control over those presets and what they can do. Like, you can dive in or you can just drop it in. You know, you got to get the thing in by tomorrow, and it's there. Forced by Marianne Fischer. Marianne is a wonderful composer, and we've connected. Yeah, she does some pretty awesome stuff. You would have seen her maybe do a few things for Scorecast. I believe she's one of the... I'm not sure if she still is. I think she might still be one of the heads of the Scorecast London chapter. It's a great group. If you haven't joined Scorecast, I don't know what you're waiting for. Or if you haven't listened to the Scorecast podcast, it's fantastic. I definitely urge you to do so. So yeah, Forest. Some great movement there. I love the animation here. And you can just change, it's cool, you can change the sounds on the fly. So that's a pretty cool set of sounds there. High pitch menu, so again, we're only engaging really with the high. So as we can tell, it's like you just press the one key. That's what you play. You know, a great collection of sounds. And you can always add to it if you want. Horror. Wonderful collection of sounds. Here's a nice chord. Intergalactic organs menu. This is kind of nice. I'll get rid of the smart bass and just play it. I'll get rid of the thick on the mid. I'll keep the low and the high thick. The low, not thick. all of that. Try another preset. Get the intensity up. So that's pretty lovely stuff. Low end menu. So we're just going low here, and maybe a bit of effects. This is cool. Just movement straight away. That'd be pretty cool for scoring a scene. Like, you know, action's probably along. Dialogue, that kind of thing, and then, like, something happens. Stuff like that. Ooh, this is really nice. That is quite awesome. Like, I've played through a lot of these sounds, but some of them you just sit down and listen and appreciate them. And then you just like put on some reverb on an instrument and get it to sing along. Something like that. I don't know. You know. There's some really great low end there. And of course, play with the filter. So yeah, so that's low end. I didn't think I was going to do this, but hey, here I am. These are the pads that we were starting with. And more pads. So as I said, there's a lot of wonderful sound design. So it's very hard to find fault with it, because it's definitely a matter of taste. But I really enjoy pulsing menu here. I really like how well designed the presets are. Wonder if that's an LFO right there. So there's probably an envelope in the back end that's doing all of that modulation. Where are we? Sorry, I'm just really curious here. Modulation. Oh, the envelope. Anyway, doesn't matter. I was just really curious. There's some cool stuff. You can explore it and find out. So some pretty cool stuff here. Rhythmical menu. Some pretty cool stuff here. Again, I like a well-designed presets list. It's not essential, but it's really enjoyable and really gets me going. Sci-Fi menu. Some pretty cool stuff. We've got strange menu here. So, a lot of stuff worth exploring. Strings menu. Now, the strings actually have been recorded specifically. A whole bunch of things for strings have been recorded by can't remember which orchestra. It's in the manual. It's one of the English orchestras. I think it was a philharmonic of some sort. But so that's some real string sounds in here. So if you're looking here at expert, you got strings dry and strings ambient, which I think is just like basically mic positions. But I don't think it's in enough detail like it would be in a string sample library. Get rid of the smart bass. So it's a nice usable strings section. Not detailed, but very usable. You can go low. It's not really a lot happening there. But you can actually still got strings happening in the low as well. Got some arpeggiation happening there. You know, stuff like that. So, this is nice. Because what's... Oh, there's no effect, sorry. This high strings, that's right. So it's really interesting to get stuff like that. It's got this big octave thing, multi-octave thing, and then you're adding in some strings in between. I feel like I'm at an aquarium. You got a tension menu. So a lot of great stuff there. Trailer Klaxons. So these are brands by Sam Wale. I don't think these are going away anytime soon. So yeah, pretty much it. That's it. You got the initialized patch here if you want, so you can just start constructing your own drone. There's nothing on each of these keys, so you can just start constructing your own thing. Say here, yeah, that's. You can just start changing your everything as you want it per preset as you leave it. So that is DRONAR. I forgot to have a look at the price here. I mean, I did have a look at the price before, but I forgot to look at it with you. It is selling for... I have no idea about this VAT stuff because that's all European and I'm based in Australia. About £49, and if you add VAT, it's like £59.95. So, let's say it says 50 British pounds. Convert it to however you will. I think for me it comes at about just less than double. So is it worth for me 100 Australian dollars? I'm not even going to do the conversion. I'm probably getting it wrong. But is it worth that? For what it is, I think it's a very fair asking price for the innovation in the concept. I wish that could be an engine that could just be used for anything you want and drop in all your own samples and that kind of thing, which is possible, but it just takes a lot of effort. The sounds themselves are fantastic, and the presets are well crafted that I can drop them in. Some of them are a bit samey, but that's fine. That's probably a lot to do with the filters that are being used. I mean, they're just Kontakt filters, but that's just a lot to do with how they're being used, and that tends to happen. And but there's a lot of possibility for customization, a lot of varied presets, but at the same time, a lot of possibility for customization. Very hard to fault it because the sound design is a matter of taste, and a lot of good applications. Like you could probably hear some of these things and know exactly where you're going to fit them in your work. I mean, I know I would, especially now that they're going into the template, so I'm just going to be able to access it whenever I want. So yeah, I will leave you with that. DRONAR, I think it's well worth it. Very hard to find fault with it. I mean, I would try, and I have tried. I think maybe a couple of Kontakt bugs with maybe one of the patches or something, but could just be my Kontakt playing up. Can't really say too much about the master effects. I like how the ARP interacts with whether you've got the thick mode engaged or not, and it's a good library to have. It's one of those things that I never realized it answered something that I wanted. Like, it answered a need I didn't realize I had. Like, I was making, working with pads and working with synthscapes and soundscapes and that kind of thing. But, things would always stack up and then they'd feel a little dull when you kind of backed off, or a little flat. They'd fall a little flat. I didn't realize I needed something like this, where I was able to do a whole bunch of things in the one patch. So this answered a prayer I didn't pray, and it's answered a need I didn't know I had. It's not necessarily a need. No one really needs a lot of these tools. People make do with a lot less and do a lot more. But is it something I'm glad to have in my arsenal now? Yes, it is, and I'm looking forward to making a lot of good use of it. I've forgotten my English words. So yes, I will leave you with that. I've been Meena Shamaly. This has been DRONAR, and follow us for more stuff at filmandgamecomposers.com, and I will catch you later.